Hello, this is Scott Gossenberger, and I have the privilege of sharing the devotion with you this Thursday. Uh, most mornings, I'm out here, at least in the spring, summer, and fall, doing my devotions. And today I thought I'd share a devotion that um, comes from Nahum, one of the minor prophets. I um, I have to say I don't spend a lot of time in the minor prophets. Uh, but because I read through the Bible one or two chapters a day, I just happened to, fall on Nahum chapter 2. And in Nahum chapter 2, actually, let me give you a little backstory to the prophecies behind Nahum. Now, Judah and Israel as a whole had fallen into idolatry, and they had walked away from God, and God decided that he was going to judge them. And so he raised up the Assyrians, who had a capital called Nineveh. You probably have heard that name of that city. Nineveh was a vast city, and it appeared to be almost impregnable. They thought that once they had built up their military power, that nobody could destroy them, no one could stop them. They went in and defeated under the watchful eye of God. They defeated Israel because Israel and Judah had fallen into great idolatry. In fact, they had gone so far as to actually worship the god of Molech. Molech was an idol, a false god that demanded that you would sacrifice your children, throw them into the fire, and then he would create protection for you. If you did those sacrifices. So they had really become quite vile. In any event, now Nineveh is being judged by God, and they thought there's no way we're going to be judged. We're bigger than anybody. They had actually become so prideful based on their success. They were deceived by their own success, thinking that somehow they could overcome anybody or any nation. What they failed to understand is their success was from God. And so Nahum actually is prophesying against Nineveh, against the Assyrians. And in chapter 2, verse 5, it says, Nineveh, let me read this for you. Nineveh summons her picked troops, yet they stumble on their way. They dash to the city walls. The protective shield is put in place. The river gates are thrown open, and the palace collapses. It is decreed that Nineveh be exiled and carried away. Her female slaves moan like doves and beat their breasts. Nineveh is like a pool whose water is draining away. Stop, stop, they cry, but no one turns back. Here's the thing, and really the whole of Nahum is a prophecy against Nineveh. And I thought about this, and I thought, well, what is it that deceived Nineveh? What caused them to instead of living in the blessing of God, God gave them the ability to overcome the Israelites. Why did they fall into judgment on their own? They were actually defeated by the Medes and Persians, and Nahum was prophesying this, and that defeat came just a short time later. Here's the reason. They had come to believe that their success was their own, that they were successful because they were powerful, they were mighty, they had this vast city and this vast army. And I thought to myself, how do I be sure that I don't become deceived by my own success? Not that I'm successful necessarily, but it's possible to become deceived by your own success. And how can I make sure that I don't do that? And let me give you three things. First of all, always give credit to God. Always give God the credit, the glory, because everything comes from him. Even our success comes from God. It's not because we work so hard or we're so smart or talented or good looking or whatever it is that you think we might have. Everything comes from God. Secondly, we're to resist pride. The pride that comes from success or just valuing ourselves too much. And that means that we need to every day choose to be humble. Give God the credit, give God the glory, and humble ourselves before the Lord. And we do that by serving others. And thirdly, we're to exercise discipline with the restraint of grace. God gave the Assyrians the opportunity to exercise discipline on the Israelites, but they didn't show restraint. They actually went too far. Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 11 says that the enemies of God were allowed by God to do what they do, but they went too far. And so it is with us sometimes. We can take the discipline too far. Whenever we have to discipline, whether it's our children or other people, maybe it's an employee, we need to keep in mind that God's grace always should be in the forefront. And the goal of discipline, all discipline, especially the discipline that's from the Lord, is always for the restoration of the person. Well, I pray that God blesses you. I pray that you are successful, but that you always give glory to God, that you choose to be humble, and that whenever you have to exercise discipline, you do it with the restraint of grace. God bless you.